sent Marshall to the other side of the country to keep tabs on Coloradans running for president and getting ready to debate the frontrunners. Sometimes you have to face a fake house of horrors to stop people from buying a real one. DNA helped a family find closure for a veteran who will finally be laid to rest 7 decades later. The countdown is on. The first of 2 presidential debates is going to begin in less than an hour. Tonight, former Governor John Hickenlooper and Senator Michael Bennet, they are studying, scoping out the competition, how the debate works in real time. They're both on tomorrow night alongside other frontrunners. Politics guy Marshall Zelinger is in Miami and has talked with both Colorado candidates about not being the first on stage. Hey, Marshall.
Hi, Anusha. They've been practicing for this moment for a while, like their coaches waiting for their next away game opponent. They'll have some more practice time tonight because they're not among the first 10 candidates that will take the stage inside this performance hall here. We're not allowed inside there. There is plenty of security, just like in 2008 with the DNC, plenty of fencing that keeps the general public out. You've got police on horseback already. The protesters are kept farther away. So unlike 2016 in Denver, when Senator Michael Bennet debated then challenger Darrell Glenn, they won't be able to bang on the building to try to cause a disruption. Before they take the stage tomorrow, I was able to ask both Hickenlooper and Bennet what makes them nervous about this moment.
It doesn't make me nervous. I mean, they're humans, they're people, and the bottom line is that 10, well, actually they're 20 because it's 2 nights of debate, but 20 normal, everyday human beings are all competing to be something that's, you know, that's bigger than anybody really thinks a person can be, right? To be president of the United States. But they're just people. I'm not in any way nervous or anxious. At least I don't feel that way now. Maybe when all the bright lights are on, I don't know.
On the plane down here, I started to feel that kind of nervous energy that's a productive nervous energy when you're doing something like this. It's the unpredictable nature of it. It's knowing you've got 10 people who are all trying to get their voice out to the American people, and you just don't know how that's going to go, but it makes it exciting as well.
If Bennett's not nervous, his campaign manager is for him. He told me he can't even watch tonight's debate because it will make him too nervous. Early this morning, we got our only chance to go inside that performance hall and see the actual debate stage. We were in there for 30 minutes. And while we were recording something for social media, something happened that happens quite often, and it's when some member of the media realized she was walking behind us while we were recording and then did the worst thing possible. Next is on the road in Miami at the presidential debates. We won't always be dressed this casual, but when you get off a red-eye flight and you only have 30 minutes to see the actual space of the debate, you make do. It was luck of the draw that got Governor John... You see that media member walk behind me, somehow then realize she's behind me while I'm recording, which is not a big deal, and then ever so subtly, with her face, tells me what she thinks of next reporting. Now, Anusha, maybe it was because of the shirt I was wearing. Granted, we were on a red-eye flight, and this tour happened as soon as we got into town, so we just went straight there. But come on, I did not deserve that kind of look. And you're walking in the background. Just keep walking.
No, you
Be
did it,
casual.
Marshall. No, I call it the Sasquatch when you catch yourself in the back of a shot and you just drop down, just like that, and realize and make it all the worse. Maybe it was the next shirt. I don't know, Marshall.
And we're drawing more attention to it now. If she wouldn't have made that face, we wouldn't draw attention to it.
We wouldn't even be talking about it.
Here we are, just like, hey, look.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you. You've had a long day. We appreciate all your hard work. Thanks, Marshall. Well, in a pool of about 24 Democratic candidates, tomorrow's night's debate is a chance for Colorado hopefuls to try and stand out. So things to watch for. We talked to our 9 News political analyst, says Senator Bennet has a leg up on current social issues, while Hickenlooper's major advantage is being a Washington outsider who can talk about Colorado's economic success.
That will get him so far. He's got to stay on script. He has a tendency to go off script, which gets him into trouble sometimes. So he's really got to stay focused and try to stand out by being an outsider and by being an implementer from a state that's doing quite well. Bennet has another challenge. He is hoping to seize on the issues of the day, immigration being the one that's most important. He's a former Gang of 8 member, which featured bipartisan support on immigration issues. That being the most important issue today gives Bennet an opportunity to talk about his role in immigration reform.
So allow us to take a moment and make a recommendation. This is where we point you to something that is not ours, but is still worth a read. The New York Times is going behind the scenes with some of the Democratic candidates running for president. Alexander Burns with the Times spent 3 months putting them on the spot. Hickenlooper and Bennet both participated in this. So Burns asked them all a whole bunch of topics, from lighter topics like how they relax, where they'd go on their first international trip if they were elected president, to some tougher conversations about troops in Afghanistan, handguns, and the death penalty. We, of course, have got a link to that article on the Next Facebook page. So we really don't need to wait for the debates to talk about immigration. A photo of a father and his young daughter who drowned trying to cross the border is right now fueling that conversation. So we're not going to be showing it here on TV. We're worried that it might just be too disturbing, especially at this time of day. But Democratic Representative Diana DeGette pressed the feds about the conditions at the border. We then learned that they're opening 2 more facilities in Texas and Oklahoma so that they can take in hundreds of more children. Now, as politicians are wrestling over immigration, here's an untold story to consider as well. Somewhere buried under the endless headlines on immigration is a story of a 7-year-old girl from India who died a mile north of the border. A look at Border Patrol stats starting in 2007 shows a steady rise in the number of people from India caught at the U.S. southern border, tripling between 2017 to 2018 to close to 9,000 people. While it's nowhere near the numbers for people from countries like Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua, it's the next country with the most number of people caught at the southern border last year. And that matters if you're looking at the big picture to find a solution.
I think it's very important to have a clear understanding of exactly who is coming and why they might be coming.
The reason why this is happening, well, that is a story that is still waiting to be told. A local immigration law firm says they have worked with Indians many times trying to get political asylum, but why it would increase so much recently, well, that's still a mystery. Hikes are back on at Waterton Canyon, briefly closed because of a wildfire yesterday afternoon. The fire is now 100% contained, so Waterton Canyon reopened today. Art has a way of inspiring people, and in the town of Granby, it inspired them right into a board meeting. They wanted to make sure murals painted for an art festival this week was going to be sticking around. So in an email this morning, the mayor said rumors had people really worried that town officials wanted to paint over them. The murals are on 8 different buildings for the Rocky Mountain Walls Art Festival. Business owners told Next yesterday that they were concerned that officials were going to force them to paint over because of complaints. The mayor says the murals are meant to be up for at least a year, but it is up to each building owner to decide what they want to do because it's private property. Town officials say most of the comments at last night's board meeting were in support of those murals. We both love and despise to talk about the R word, redevelopment. But the Broncos are saying that this could really help them out. City officials and the Broncos probably won't have to wait very long to find developers interested in taking on the project near Broncos Stadium. So city councilors, they just approved the project last week, and it is the solution that they think is going to help the team out with, get this, a $400 million deficit they are predicting they're going to have in 30 years. Money that's going to keep the stadium up to NFL standards. So after a meeting this morning, the chairman of the Metropolitan Football Stadium District Board said the money from this development will be crucial in just a matter of years.
So I don't find any great concerns short term, but they don't go away. And we need to have them addressed in the next 4 to 5 years. So hopefully the development community will give us that right plan and hopefully that right timing.
Okay, you probably have heard this before, right? The master plan is envisioning a mixed-use destination, room for local businesses, walking, biking trails, affordable housing, as well as entertainment. All right, let's play What Do You Say tonight? We're talking about a name of a mansion in downtown Denver. It's off 17th and Grant and named after the man who lived there in the late 1800s. Our viewer Chris asked for help pronouncing it. So we reached out to History Colorado to ask, what do you say?
So the name of the mansion is the George Schleier Mansion. It's well known on its corner lot for having that kind of almost onion dome shaped tower, but a very bulbous tower. It's sort of unique in Denver. George Schleier immigrated from Germany to the U.S. when he was around 6 years old. He essentially became successful in real estate in Denver and is kind of considered one of the pioneers of the city as a city itself.
Schleier Mansion, meant to be pronounced very slowly, now belongs to a private owner. If you're wondering, it has 19 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. Okay, so what are the names across Colorado? Got you stumped. All you got to do, email us suggestions next@9news.com, or of course use the hashtag #HeyNext. You could call it the haunted house of home inspections.
If this was a real house, I'd probably look at my client and say, I can save you some money here on the inspection. Tear it down.
But this training could save you from buying your own house of horrors. After 78 years, the remains of a Navy veteran have been identified. Tonight, a show of support as he's brought home to his family. That's next. We really like to talk about this on the news. We have this fascination with Colorado's snowpack. And at one point, one of our reservoirs was 50,000% of average. I don't even know what that looks like. But now it's getting hot. That means the snow is going to melt. So let's get to the intelligent questions. Do we have enough space to store all of it? Do we have to share it with our neighboring states? I'll let Danielle Grant take over.
Our first question, do we have excess storage capacity that will be able to store that water for future years? The answer is yes. We've had a few bad water years recently, and so many of our state's reservoirs are extremely low. Like one of the bigger ones, the Blue Mesa Reservoir in Gunnison County. So some extra water will be helpful in refilling the reservoirs back to capacity. This is exactly why we have them. We can store the water we get in a good year, and it acts as insurance for the bad years. Our second question, will we have to let the excess flow out of Colorado to other states to be held in their storage? Well, this one is kind of tricky. We don't necessarily just let the water escape out of our state. We have agreements with most neighboring states to send a certain amount downstream. So even though a river originates in our state, we have to share the wealth with the others. Like the Colorado River, for instance, we're required to send a specific amount out of state on a 10-year rolling average. So when we have a drier year, we don't send as much. When we have a banner year, we can send more and make up for that difference. So with the epic snowpack we saw this year, yes, we are sending more water out, but also we are storing more right here in Colorado.
A beautiful summer day in Colorado, and in spite of the afternoon cloud cover, our first 90-degree day of the season. A little late for this to be happening. The average high is about 86, and that warm weather trend does look to continue. As a matter of fact, we had some highs in the mid-90s in southeastern Colorado, and we'll see those numbers go up. Tracking the potential for some severe storms in northeastern Colorado. Isolated, gusty storms with a lot of damaging wind and lightning, but not much hail. All of that activity, Fort Morgan, Sterling, out to North Platte, and this watch in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. As we look to areas off to the west, high pressures, our dominant weather feature, and with a southwest wind flow, it's going to allow all that warm desert air to come cruising in here, and we've got a nice warming trend that looks like it's going to stick around for the next couple of days. And so, as we look through Denver's futurecast for tonight, those isolated storms move out. We get a mostly sunny day tomorrow, and temperatures are going to soar for the next couple of days. Tonight, partly cloudy and 58. Tomorrow, sunshine. Our high temperature in the low 90s. We remain between 90 and 95 degrees right into the weekend. Not exactly in record territory, but plenty warm. And then, Anusha, late in the weekend and early next week, we introduced the chance of rain from thunderstorms and a bit of a cooling trend. But the first full week of summer certainly looking and feeling like the season.
All right. Thank you for that, Kathy. Appreciate it. The role of a home inspector could be the difference between buying your dream home or a money pit. So could going through a fake house of horrors. There's a place in Boulder designed to test the nerves of even the most seasoned inspectors. Our Brian Wendland was there this afternoon as a new class got started.
Here we can see the sheet metal screws connecting the single wall.
If you're looking to buy a home, this place might as well be hell on earth.
There's more defects here than I think any of us have even counted.
But if you're a home inspection instructor like Lon Henderson...
1,002 uses for duct tape? No. We're back to 1,001.
This house is paradise.
Among home inspection schools, there's nothing else like this in the country.
Welcome to the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors House of Horrors.
These have to be isolated on different gas lines.
A full-scale home built with thousands of defects designed to train the people whose job is to help you make an informed home purchase.
We are trained to have that eye, that smell, that hearing to pick up a defect or something that's wrong.
What's wrong in this house is enough to scare any home buyer.
We're missing the covers on our outlet here. Our drywall is not taped. And here we have half-inch sheetrock, so that's wrong. This spring here is the wrong kind of spring. Wiring on the surface of the wall, plywood there, that should be a flame-resistant material.
And that's just the garage.
If this was a real house, I'd probably look at my client and say, I can save you some money here on the inspection. Tear it down.
Henderson says you won't run into anything this bad in the real world, but there are some problems you should be ready for if you're looking to buy. Radon, dry rot, and poor ventilation in attics are common problems he runs into in Colorado.
The good news is termites not a big problem here.
More good news? If your home inspector has been run through this gauntlet, they should have no problem catching all those defects. For Next, I'm Brian Wendland.
Henderson says it's always a good idea for homeowners to be there for at least a part of the inspection, and says even if you're buying houses as is, you should still be getting one of those inspections. It has been a mystery for 78 years. A World War II veteran killed in battle who wasn't identified until recently. Tonight, his remains will arrive at the Denver airport, where his family is waiting for their Uncle George. Katie Eastman is with them as they prepare for a moment they have waited now for decades.
George Hansen was 32 years old when he was killed in the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941. He was one of the 429 people who died on the USS Oklahoma, and his family, who lives here in Colorado and Wyoming, will finally get to escort him home.
Nobody really talked about it after World War II. So even when my grandparents were alive, I don't ever remember them mentioning, it would be my grandma's brother. I don't remember her mentioning Uncle George at all.
Brittany Gerard never met her great uncle. She's never even seen a photo and didn't know he existed until a few months ago. Without telling his daughter, 4 years ago, Brittany's dad and his siblings sent their DNA to Hawaii in hopes of finding Uncle George's remains. They got the call in December. That's when Brittany found out she had a great uncle who was a Navy machinist mate first class, and that he died in World War II.
It's just adding a bit of history to my life that I had no idea existed, and I think it's just a really cool thing. I'm really humbled to actually be a part of it.
George Hansen's casket will arrive here at 7:15, and a procession from here at DIA to Laramie, Wyoming will begin at 8 tonight. His family welcomes anyone to stand along the route and share in their gratitude. For Next, I'm Katie Eastman.
Good to see they have some of that closure. We'll have your feedback. That's coming up next. Hey, Susan says that Marshall maybe should have his recorder with him at the debates to play some music to soothe passerbys. Susan, I think that might be needed inside the debate versus outside. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.